This video is all about the elements of life. So I'm going to start off by listing the four major elements of life that make up 96% of all living things, including me, you, these elephants, plants, anything that you consider living is going to be made of primarily these four main elements. And those four main elements are going to be carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. So as we get into the next part of this unit, which is going to be our macromolecules, it's important to note that all of our major macromolecules, being our carbohydrates, our lipids, our proteins, and nucleic acids, they all share one thing, and that is that they all include the first three elements here I've listed. So you can kind of see these elements as the base level elements that are required to build a macromolecule. Now, nitrogen, on the other hand, is not going to be included in our carbs and lipids. Nitrogen is going to be found in proteins and nucleic acids, and that's it. So you'll never see nitrogen in any fats or phospholipids or sugars or polysaccharides, anything like that are not going to include nitrogen, but all of your proteins and your nucleic acids will include nitrogen. In addition to these four major elements of life, we also have two kind of bonus elements that are going to be sulfur and phosphorus. And it's important to note, especially as we go through our macromolecules, that sulfur is going to be unique to protein, and phosphorus is going to be found primarily in nucleic acids, so not in protein. You do not find phosphorus in proteins at all. The only other macromolecule slash example that we talk about that has phosphorus besides our nucleic acids is going to be the phospholipid, but just be careful because the phospholipid does not represent the entire lipid family. It's the only one that has phosphorus, so other saturated fats and steroids and other lipids do not contain phosphorus. So this leads me to the concept of where are all these elements coming from? How do human beings, elephants, plants, how does anything living actually get these elements from the environment and use them to build these more complex macromolecules that allow life to be possible? So the first question that deals with these elements of life is where are all these elements coming from? And the answer to that question is that these are the same elements that have existed since really the dawn of the universe. So the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, and phosphorus on Earth is the same exact matter that has been on Earth for billions of years, even before life existed. How this is possible is that all of these elements keep getting recycled, and that is because matter can't be created or destroyed. So the atoms that make up organisms on Earth will eventually decompose and be recycled into the Earth after these organisms die. We're going to go more into things like the carbon cycle and the nitrogen cycle later on in the year in ecology. So for now, we're just going to leave it at the law of conservation of matter. The last thing I want to touch on in this video is how are organisms like plants and animals getting this energy and this matter from the environment? So it's important that we start off with the ultimate source of energy on Earth, which is going to be our beautiful, wonderful sun. The sun is going to drive one of the most important processes that exist to any life, and that is going to be photosynthesis. So plants have this beautiful ability to make their own sugars using sunlight, water, and nutrients from the soil. This is going to provide a base level of our food chain because plants can make raw sugars from just sunlight and their environment. So this is going to fuel our herbivores, our carnivores, as both matter and energy flow up the food chain, which is going to make it possible for us to eat. That's where we get our, matter and elements and energy that we need to make our macromolecules. It all originates with plants. If they could not take sunlight and turn it into food, then we would not be able to get that energy either directly by eating plants or indirectly by eating animals. Our stomach and body will then break down all the elements that are in the plants and animals that we eat and reconstruct them into our macromolecules in addition to many other things that make up our bodies.